Okay, so next up we've got Geminites. So this is another type of connected speech. So Geminites, do you know where that word comes from? It comes from sort of words to do with like twins and mirroring. So like if you know your star signs, you could be a Geminite, but we're using Geminites in a more of a linguistical sense here. So this is where you have two sounds that sound the same, that are next to each other, that are back to back, like twins. So if we take the example, pet, turtle. The first word, pet, ends in a T, and the second word, turtle, starts with a T. So rather than having to say pet, turtle 2 times, which is a lot of effort, you just say the T sound once in the middle, joining the 2 words together. So, pet turtle. Can you hear that? So it's quite odd, but pet, turtle, or pet turtle. So do you hear that T from pet and the T from turtle fuse together? Right, we've got another example for you. Social life. Social life. Can you say that with me? Social life. And in a sentence, I have a great social life. Now, if you notice, I'm going to use linking in the first few words of the sentence, and then a Geminite for social life. I have a great social life. I have a great social life. I know that's intimidating, that's quite scary, but listen to it one more time. I have a great social life. I have a great social life. Can you try and copy it and say it with me? I've got a great social life. I've got a great social life. Right? It's not too hard once you kind of get accustomed to it. And our last Gemini that we're going to say is red doll. Can you try and say it by yourself using connected speech? Red doll. Right, so the way we say it is red doll, red doll, red doll, together because we're lazy, red doll. There you go. So now we're going to be looking at a type of connected speech where you have added sounds, where sound intrudes itself between 2 words because of that laziness of going from the end of one word to the next word. And then in some cases, like with the Geminites, you just have that same sound linking the 2 together. In this case, because you have 2 different sounds that are completely different, so when you go from one to the other, it creates a whole new sound in the middle. So these words will sound a little bit funny, and this is probably one of the more common things, especially with British English speakers, that you get, that you will start to recognize. And this is called intrusion, because a sound intrudes itself in between 2 words. So some of the common intrusion sounds is a J sound, a W sound, or an R sound. Right, let's look at some examples. Can you say, he asked? He asked, right? Now, if I say it with connected speech, he asked, can you hear there's a sort of a Y sound that intrudes itself into the middle? He asked. Can you hear that sort of Y sound in the middle? Right, here's another example that's a little bit more clear. She answered. She answered. She answered. Right? Can you kind of hear that intrusion of a sound in between she and answered? Right, this is a very common one. Do it. Do it. There's a W sound in between do and it. Do it. And here's another one. Go out. Go out. Can you kind of hear that W sound in between go and out? Go out. And lastly, we've got this one. Shoe on. So now we've got one of the slightly more difficult aspects of connected speech. And this is called elision. So this is where a sound disappears. So the reason why this happens is because you have two sounds next to each other, where one of them is super strong, and it basically just eats the other sound because it's weaker, and it just disappears. So I'm just letting you know, I'm just letting you become aware of this, but if you focus on this way too much, you'll get quite frustrated because it's just one of the things that will just come with practice. And it's one of those things that native speakers don't even realize they're doing. I actually had to think quite a bit before preparing this video in realizing, what am I doing when I'm saying these sentences? Because it just disappears, so I don't realize what I'm saying. Let me give you some examples. So just to make you aware. So, next door, next door. So the D sound is eating that T sound. But I am so unaware of it that I can hear the T sound in my own head. But people listening to me, even the people recording this video, can't even hear that T sound. So it's the D sound in this example that is the strong one, that's eating the T sound. Next door, right? Another example, dad take, right? Dad take. Dad, take this from me. Dad, take this from me. Do you hear that? So that D sound just disappears. It can even look like data, like when you're collecting data, data, dad take this from me. Can you hear that? Can you say that with me one more time? Dad, take this from me. Right, and our last example is most common. Together, that sounds like most common. That T just disappears. Most common, most common. The most common thing is blah, 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 blah. Can you hear that T just disappears completely?